So in this video, I'm going to show you how to heal a disc bulge in 2 to 4 months. Here we have a couple of MRIs from a current client, Kane. So on the left-hand side, we can see an MRI from December 2024. We can see the bulge L4, L5 protruding out. Yes, he did have some sciatica with this. And on the right-hand side, we can see an MRI from March 2025. And you can see that that disc bulge has retracted and healed itself. So what do we do to heal it? And what can you do to help heal your disc bulge? So step one, obviously disc bulges don't form because it's a Tuesday morning. They form with hundreds of cycles of faulty flexion. So it doesn't mean you walk around like you've got a broomstick up your butt and never bend your back ever again. It just means that you bring that flexion back down below a tolerable level. Because when you have excessive faulty flexion, that's what delaminates that collagen, the annulus fibrosus, the outer part of the disc, and lets the nucleus travel through hydraulic pressure. But like kind of a jam donut and squeeze in the front of it. If you do that enough, eventually jam will come out the back. So what we need to do is stop the mechanical pressure that's causing that damage, and again, bring it below a tolerable level. Professor Stuart McGill has a great analogy on this. He talks about picking the scab on your arm. If you stop picking it, it'll actually heal. And that's how disc bulges heal. They physically gristle, harden, and the body eats away at them for you to let it heal. So step one, bring that flexion back down below a tolerable level. So that can be simple things like using lumbar support anytime you sit, so an office chair, in the car, wherever it may be. But also simple things like how you bend over to pick things up off the floor. You can use a lunge strategy rather than bending too much from your lower back, and that can take some strain off it. But again, you just got to bring it down below a tolerable level, give it a chance to heal. Step number two that we can do is we can start to introduce some passive extension to reverse that hydraulic pressure in the disc. Now this principle comes from a man called Robin McKenzie. He's working as a doctor. He discovered this by accident because someone walked into his clinic where he was working. He was busy with another case. They came in, so they had horrific back pain, sciatica. He said to him, go to the room at the end of the ward, lie on the bed face down. Didn't realize the bed had been jacked up slightly. They lay down for 10 to 15 minutes before he could get to them. And when he walked in, they said, oh, you're a miracle worker. My pain is gone. My sciatica's gone. Thank you very much. And from that sort of mistake, we realized that putting people into passive extension can reverse that hydraulic pressure and pull that disc bulge back into the disc. Now, a refinement on from that is from Professor Stuart McGill, because when we talk about McKenzie method, we generally talk about things like floppy push-ups and cobra poses, which are very end-range extension movements. Not everyone can get to those movements safely anymore. Part of that can be as we get older, we start to lose disc height, and that means that we go into those end-range extensions. There's a danger that will start to clack our facet joints together and start to irritate them and get like facet arthropy, where they become inflamed and irritated. So what we don't want to do is try and fix one problem and in that process create another one. So Professor Stuart McGill has given us a more refined tool that we can use, which is basically the disc recovery position. There's a few different levels or granularity to this movement, this position that we can use to fine tune it for each person. So level one is just 2 flat hands underneath your forehead. It gives you a very gentle bit of extension. What you want to do is be there for 3 to 5 minutes and let that spine gently relax into the floor to restore that passive extension into the lumbar spine. Again, help pull those discs back into their natural shape. Now that feels pretty good. We can get some people to progress to either 1 fist or maybe even 2 fists underneath their chins to give them a bit more extension again. And again, we've got to be careful that we don't exceed the tolerance for that person. But either one of those positions will work well for most. The trick is to find the level that is the safest and most effective for you. And again, we want 3 to 5 minutes in that position. We can do it multiple times a day if we need to. So in Kane's example, I've got him to do that sort of 2 to 3 times a day, or any time that he felt compressed from sitting either in the car or just at home. Again, just to reset that pressure in the discs and kind of reset his bank account, if you like. But it doesn't work for everybody, because some people have particular muscular imbalances around their psoas and hip flexors that don't like being in passive extension unless they've done some significant glute strengthening work beforehand. So be careful. So, summary. Most important thing is to reduce that flexion, the cause of the disc bulge, back down below a tolerable level. Again, doesn't mean you walk around and got a broomstick up your butt and you never bend ever again. We just bring it back down below a tolerable level to let that scab heal, let it simmer down. And if we can add in some passive extension to expedite the process. So it's using that disc recovery position. So either 2 flat hands, 1 fist or maybe even 2 fists underneath the chin. 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Just reset that extension in the lower back and again help reverse that hydraulic pressure and pull that bulge back in. So disc bulges, generally fairly predictable and fairly easy to deal with most of the time. It's not me being big-headed, just that they are very predictable. So again, most important thing, get the flexion, the cause of this bulge back down below a tolerable level so it's got a chance to heal. And then if you can use some disc recovery to help speed the process up.